You know that incredibly humbling moment when you wake up, stretch, maybe bend over to pick up a rogue sock from the floor, and suddenly you just feel this sharp tweak in your lower back.
Oh, the absolute betrayal of your own bed.
Right. It's the classic, I injured myself sleeping phenomenon.
Oh, we have definitely all been there, lying there wondering how, laying completely horizontal for 8 hours somehow resulted in a pulled muscle.
It is a very specific and very universal reality check, I think. And it usually goes hand in hand with that other great mystery.
Oh, which one?
Well, you go to your closet, you pull out a pair of jeans you've worn 100 times, you put them on, and they are inexplicably tight around the waist.
Oh, yeah, the mysterious shrinking closet.
Exactly. But you haven't changed your eating habits. You're doing the exact same things you did 5 years ago, but your clothes are suddenly sending you a very different, very frustrating message.
It is so common. And honestly, it's the perfect entry point for what we're getting into today. Welcome to Radio BFit, by the way.
Yes. Welcome. All right, let's get into it. What are we unpacking today?
So today's deep dive explores a really specific 12-week blueprint from BFit that tackles exactly this issue.
Awesome.
It's all about strength training after the age of 40. We're looking at the biological reasons behind that sudden stiffness, that creeping fat gain, and the exact steps to reverse it without, completely overhauling your busy life.
I love that. Let's start right there with the biology, because I think a lot of people hit 40, they notice their waistline expanding, and they immediately blame their willpower.
Right. They think it's their fault.
Yeah, they think they just aren't disciplined enough anymore. What is actually happening in the body when we cross that threshold?
It's a major shift. And I want to be clear, it has absolutely nothing to do with willpower.
Okay, that's a relief.
Starting around age 40, our bodies begin to actively lose muscle mass. And not just a little bit either. We are talking about losing roughly 3 to 8% of your muscle mass every single decade from that point on.
Wait, 8%?
Yeah, up to 8%.
Yeah. So if I do nothing between 40 and 60, I could lose almost a fifth of my muscle tissue.
Yes.
That sounds almost impossible. Where is it going? Why is the body just dumping it?
Well, it comes down to a process called motor unit remodeling.
Motor unit remodeling, okay.
Basically, as we age, the nerves that connect to our muscle fibers, specifically the fast twitch fibers, which are the really powerful ones, they start to detach and, well, they die off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and if you aren't actively forcing your body to use those fibers through resistance, the body just lets them go to conserve energy.
Okay, let me try to visualize this. So think of your body like a car, and your muscle mass is the engine.
I like that.
In your 20s, you had this massive V8 engine in there. It burned through fuel, which is your food, completely effortlessly.
Right, you could eat whatever you wanted.
Exactly. But as you hit your 40s and 50s, because those fibers are vanishing, your engine is slowly shrinking down to a V6, and then, I don't know, maybe a V4.
That is exactly what is happening metabolically, because muscle is highly active tissue. I mean, it burns calories around the clock just to maintain itself.
Even when you're sleeping.
Even when you're sleeping. So when you lose that muscle, your resting metabolic rate just plummets.
But the problem is, you're still putting the exact same amount of fuel in the gas tank.
Right.
You're eating the same portion sizes you always have, but your smaller engine can't burn it all off. So what does the car do with the extra gas? It just, it stores it in the trunk.
And in the human body, that trunk is usually the midsection.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That extra fuel becomes visceral fat.
Oh.
And this creates a very frustrating condition called sarcopenic obesity.
Sarcopenic obesity. What does that actually mean for the average person?
It just means you have a combination of low muscle mass and high body fat. You feel heavier because of the fat, but you feel weaker because of the lost muscle.
Oh, man. That's a double whammy.
It is. It makes simply moving around feel exhausting.
So my instinct, and I think the instinct of almost anyone when their jeans get tight, is to immediately just hit the treadmill.
Oh, of course.
You walk into any gym and you see the 20-somethings lifting weights, and the folks in their 40s and 50s grinding away on the ellipticals for an hour a day just trying to sweat it out. Why wouldn't that work here?
Because the body is remarkably, almost annoyingly efficient.
Annoyingly efficient. How so?
Well, we absolutely need cardiovascular exercise for our heart and our lungs. That's a given. But when it comes to reversing this specific engine shrinking problem, excessive steady-state cardio can actually backfire on you.
Wait, how does it backfire? I mean, if I'm burning 300 calories on the treadmill, I'm burning 300 calories for you.
You are during the workout, yes. But your body senses that massive energy expenditure and adapts to protect you from starving.
Protect me from starving. But I have plenty of fuel in the trunk.
I know, but biologically, it activates a mechanism called adaptive thermogenesis. So, to make up for the calories you burn on the treadmill, your body subconsciously turns down your energy output for the rest of the day.
Really?
Yeah. You fidget less, you sit heavier in your chair, you take the elevator instead of the stairs without even realizing you're making that choice. Your non-exercise calorie burn just drops.
So suffering on the treadmill for an hour just to, like, break even by the time I go to bed.
Often, yes. And worse, steady state cardio sends zero signal to your body to build or maintain muscle.
So it doesn't fix the engine.
Exactly. Strength training is the true antidote. Resistance training is the only thing that forces those nerves to reconnect to the muscle fibers. It rebuilds the engine, raises your resting metabolic rate permanently, and actively pulls fuel from your fat stores to do it.
All right, so strength training is the non-negotiable solution.
Oh.
Let's get into the actual mechanics of this 12-week blueprint.
Let's do it.
What does a realistic routine look like for someone juggling, a career, kids, and a decent amount of daily stress? Because no one has time for a 2-hour workout every day.
No, definitely not. And the brilliance of this plan is its restraint. It is designed around just 3 full-body sessions a week.
3.
Just 3. Think Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And you are in and out of the gym in 45 to 60 minutes.
Wow, 3 hours a week out of 168 hours.
Oh, yeah.
That feels incredibly doable. But why only 3 days? My brain immediately says if 3 is good, 6 must be twice as good.
That is a very common trap, but after 40, your recovery curve changes. When you lift weights, you are signaling muscle to grow, but that growth process takes time.
Right.
The guidelines for this age group heavily emphasize training all major muscle groups, but leaving a mandatory 48-hour recovery window between sessions.
So if I lift on Monday, my body is still actively building that muscle on Tuesday.
Precisely. Muscle protein synthesis stays elevated for about 36 to 48 hours after a good lifting session. If you go back in and hammer those same muscles on Tuesday, you are interrupting the repair process. You are basically tearing down the house while the builders are still trying to lay the foundation.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
So walk us through the actual roadmap. How do we spend those 3 days a week over the 12 weeks?
It's broken into 3 distinct 4-week phases. Phase 1 is weeks 1 through 4, and this is strictly about the foundation.
Foundation. So not going crazy right out of the gate.
Exactly. You are not trying to set any world records here. We are acclimatizing your joints, your tendons, and your nervous system to moving weight again.
This is the leave your ego in the parking lot phase.
It really is. You are focusing on movement patterns. For example, doing a goblet squat.
Okay, what's that?
Instead of putting a heavy barbell on your back, which can compress your spine, you hold a single dumbbell vertically against your chest.
Oh, I've seen people do that.
Yeah, it forces your torso to stay upright, protects your lower back, and really targets your core and your legs.
And I imagine if you feel any sharp joint pain here, that's a hard stop, right? Like muscle soreness is a good sign, but joint pain means you need to drop the weight or modify the movement. There are no medals for pushing through a bad rotator cuff.
Such an important distinction. Listen to your joints. Always. Alongside those squats, you are doing dumbbell bench presses with a slow, controlled descent and planks to build a rock-solid core.
Sounds solid.
Once your connective tissue is ready and your form is locked in, you move to phase 2.
Weeks 5 through 8, what changes there?
This is where we dial up the volume and the intensity. You want to increase the weight you're lifting by about 5 to 10%.
Okay, a little heavier.
And instead of doing 3 sets of an exercise, you bumped it up to 4 sets. You also start tightening up your rest periods, only taking 45 to 60 seconds between sets.
So you're forcing the muscles into a corner. They have to adapt to the new workload.
Exactly. And then we hit phase 3, the final 4 weeks. This is where we maximize strength and really push the metabolic stress.
Wait, metabolic stress sounds like a bad thing. Are we stressing the body out on purpose?
We are, but in a very specific, controlled way. Metabolic stress is what people usually call the pump.
Okay.
When you are lifting a heavier weight for 5 to 8 reps, blood rushes into the muscle, but the repeated contractions trap it there. The cell literally swells up, and byproducts like lactic acid start to accumulate.
Oh, that burning sensation at the end of a hard set.
Yes, that burn is metabolic stress, and that chemical buildup is actually a massive trigger for muscle growth. It tells your body, hey, this environment is hostile, We need to build thicker, stronger fibers to survive this next time.
Fascinating. So you are intentionally creating a chemical reaction, and I understand phase 3 also introduces something called a finisher.
It does. A finisher is a 5 to 10-minute burst of high-intensity work at the very end of your session when your muscles are already fatigued.
Sounds exhausting. Like what?
Yeah. Think kettlebell swings, burpees, or pushing a weighted sled. It completely empties your gas tank, spikes your heart rate, and triggers a massive afterburn effect where you continue burning calories long after you leave the gym.
It sounds brutal, but incredibly effective. Now, I want to bring up a really crucial psychological trap here. If someone is doing this for 12 weeks, their instinct is going to be to step on the bathroom scale every morning to see if it's working.
Oh, you have to break up with your scale during this program. The scale is a massive liar.
Because muscle is so much denser than fat.
Right,
Really?
radically denser. Think about it this way. 5 pounds of fat takes up roughly the space of a grapefruit,
Okay.
but 5 pounds of muscle takes up the space of a tangerine.
Wow. That's a huge difference.
Right, you could lose 3 inches of pure fat off your waistline, replace it with dense, metabolically active muscle, completely transform how you look in the mirror, and the scale might not budge a single pound.
So you are failing the scales test, but winning the biological war. Track your waistline instead. Notice how your shirts fit across your shoulders. That is your actual metric of success.
Definitely. But to actually build that dense tangerine-sized muscle, we have to look beyond the gym floor. You have to fuel the machine. And there is a significant biological hurdle we face after 40 when it comes to food.
Okay, so I'm creating the stress, I'm sending the signal in the gym. But how does the body actually build the tissue if things slow down after 40? What is the hurdle?
It is a phenomenon called anabolic resistance.
Anabolic resistance.
Yeah. As we age, our cells literally become resistant to the muscle-building signals we send them. The body becomes less sensitive to the protein we eat.
Hold on. Anabolic resistance sounds like my body is actively fighting my efforts. What does that actually mean at a cellular level?
Think of your muscle cells as having a lock on the door. To open that door and start the repair process, you need a key. That key is protein specifically, an amino acid called leucine. In your 20s, the lock was well oiled. Just a tiny bit of protein would pop the door open and your body would start building muscle.
But in your 40s, the lock is rusty.
The lock is very rusty. The signal is muffled. To overcome that anabolic resistance, you need a much stronger signal. You need to force the door open with a higher dose of protein.
How much higher?
Well, the standard recommended daily allowance, the RDA, is roughly 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight.
But that's just the baseline to keep a sedentary person from getting sick, right?
Right, exactly. If you are actively lifting weights and trying to reverse muscle loss after 40, that bare minimum will leave you spinning your wheels. The science strongly points to needing between 1.2 and 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight.
Okay, let's do the math on that so it's practical for everyone listening. If you weigh around 180 pounds, which is about 82 kilograms, you are looking at a target of roughly 130 to 160 grams of protein every single day.
That is the sweet spot. But here's the catch, and it is a big one. You cannot just sit down, eat a massive 20-ounce steak at dinner, get all 160 grams at once, and call it a day.
Why not? If it all goes into the same stomach, why does the timing matter?
Because, unlike carbohydrates or fat, the human body has zero storage mechanism for extra protein.
Wait, none at all?
None. We don't have a protein reservoir. If you eat 80 grams of protein in one sitting, your body will take the roughly 30 or 40 grams it needs to maximize muscle protein synthesis at that exact moment.
And the rest.
It just burns it for immediate energy or excretes it. It cannot save it for later.
Wow. So if you eat a tiny bowl of cereal for breakfast, a small salad for lunch, and then a massive mountain of chicken for dinner, you spent almost the entire day in a muscle-wasting state.
Exactly. You missed all those opportunities to turn the key and open the door. You have to spread it out.
So what's the optimal strategy?
The best approach is aiming for 4 meals a day, with each meal containing about 25 to 40 grams of protein.
So you wake up and have a cup of Greek yogurt, or 3 eggs, that's meal 1, a grilled chicken salad or some tofu for lunch, meal 2, a quick whey protein shake in the afternoon, meal 3, and some salmon or lean beef with dinner, meal 4.
You just pulse that signal throughout the day, and if your goal is to lose that midsection fat while building the muscle, you pair that protein with a very moderate calorie deficit. We are talking about cutting just 300 to 500 calories a day.
You know, knowledge really is your best personal trainer, and that's what BFit.ai is all about. We try to share everything you need to make fitness and wellness click. If you want a simple breakdown later, there are free articles that make all this stuff feel clear and doable.
It really takes the anxiety out of the process. You don't need to starve yourself. In fact, extreme crash diets after 40 are a disaster.
Because you lose muscle.
Yes. If you drop your calories too low, your body panics and starts eating your own muscle tissue for energy.
Okay, so I'm tearing my muscles up 3 days a week in the gym, and I'm eating my 4 protein-heavy meals a day. But if my body is already resistant to building muscle because of my age, how does it actually piece all this together? Is there a missing link here?
There is a massive missing link, and it is where almost everyone sabotages their progress. It is recovery, specifically sleep.
Sleep. Let's bring back the building analogy.
Right.
So the gym is the demolition site. I'm tearing down the old structure, creating micro tears in the muscle.
Right.
And then the 4 protein meals. Those are the supply trucks delivering fresh bricks and mortar to the site all day long.
I love this. Yes.
But the actual construction, the rebuilding of the engine so it comes back bigger and stronger, when does that happen?
That only happens when the workers are actually on the site. And those workers only clock in when you are in deep sleep.
Really?
Yes. We are talking about 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep as a biological imperative, not a luxury.
Why is that specific window so critical? What is happening in hour 7 that wasn't happening in hour 4?
It is a massive hormonal cascade. During the deepest phases of slow-wave sleep, your pituitary gland releases the vast majority of your daily growth hormone.
A foreman on the site.
Exactly. That hormone is the foreman on your construction site. It tells the body to take those protein bricks and start building tissue.
And what if I try to cheat the system? Say I am consistently getting 5 or 6 hours a night because I'm doom scrolling or answering work emails.
You completely derail the biology. Research shows that consistently sleeping less than 7 hours triggers an alarm state in your body. It dramatically raises your cortisol levels, your primary stress hormone.
Thanks.
And at the exact same time, it tanks your testosterone levels.
That sounds like the exact opposite of what we want.
It is the ultimate worst-case scenario. High cortisol and low testosterone is a chemical environment that actively breaks down muscle tissue for energy and specifically signals the body to store deep visceral belly fat.
So you are literally undoing your Monday workout by staying up until 2 in the morning on Tuesday. That is wild. Your lack of sleep is actively shrinking your engine and filling your trunk with fat. That should be enough motivation to put the phone in another room at night.
It is a game changer. And on top of that sleep, you can layer in active recovery on your days off.
So on Tuesday and Thursday, I shouldn't just be glued to the couch binge-watching television.
Definitely not. Active recovery means very light movement, a 30-minute walk, an easy bike ride, some light yoga.
Nothing intense.
Right. It increases blood flow to the muscles, which helps flush out the metabolic waste from your lifting sessions. It accelerates the repair process without adding any new fatigue to the nervous system.
And it just feels better, getting outside, moving the joints. It keeps you from turning into the Tin Man on your off days.
It really does. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive, we'd love it if you hit like or leave a comment. It really helps us get better at what we do. And honestly, that support is heartwarming. It's what keeps us going and motivates us to keep creating these deep dives for you.
It really is the highlight of what we do. So if we look at the big picture here and weave all of this together, the gym is your demolition site, 3 days a week, 45 minutes a session. Your 4 daily protein-heavy meals are delivering the bricks to overcome that anabolic resistance. And your 8 hours of sleep is when the builders actually show up to upgrade your engine from a V4 back to a V8.
That is the perfect summary. It requires consistency, not perfection. You will feel your energy shift in just 2 or 3 weeks.
And the visual changes.
The visual changes the way your clothes fit, the density of your arms. That usually takes about 8 to 12 weeks to really show in the mirror.
The 12-week blueprint. But I know you have one final piece of this puzzle, something we haven't touched on yet about why this muscle matters so much.
I do, and this is the thought I want to leave you with today. We focus so much on muscle as a metabolic engine for burning fat, or, for looking good in a t-shirt. But science is now revealing that muscle is actually an endocrine organ.
An endocrine organ, like the thyroid.
Exactly. When you contract your muscles during resistance training, they secrete specific proteins and chemicals called myokines.
Myokines.
Yeah, and these myokines travel through your bloodstream, cross the blood-brain barrier, and literally act as an antidepressant in the brain. Scientists are actually starting to refer to them as hope molecules.
Hope molecules. Wow. So building muscle isn't just changing your waistline. It is biologically changing your capacity for happiness and resilience.
It is actively protecting your brain from stress and depression. So think about where your body, your metabolism, and even your mental health could be exactly 12 weeks from today if you just decide to start phase 1 tomorrow.
That is incredible. The time is going to pass anyway. You might as well spend it upgrading the engine and generating a little hope while you do it. You absolutely have what it takes to start.
You really do. Just take that very first step.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you, and we will talk to you next time.
Take care, everyone.